Online, can you please confirm? Can you see my screen and can you hear me well? Okay, Chitty. So let's talk today about IAM groups. What is it, Nana? IAM groups. Groups. Okay. So generally, what is a group? Group meaning what? Huh? Set of people or set of items. Group meaning set of things. So here also we have something called IAM groups. Before that, let us have few IAM users here. So IAM users. So give me some names. IAM users. Anudeep. Yeah, come. Okay. Soumya. Krishna. Kiran. Siva. Okay, enough. Okay. So we have this. So we have Anudeep, Soumya, Krishna, Kiran, and Siva. Nana, you tell me for these people, what kind of permissions that we give? For Anudeep, always easy to first. Huh? Okay. For Soumya, S3. Okay. Krishna, Ma, IAM. Okay, good. For Kiran, RDS. Okay. For Siva, last admin only. Okay. Okay, no problem. I'll give admin. So, okay. And also remember, for one IAM user, can I give multiple permissions? Yes, possible, no? So let's say Anudeep has only EC2 permission. Can I add another one? Beanstack also? I can add. Okay. So here, okay, let's say for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have only 5 users here. Imagine I have 50 users. We are all working in the same team. So now I want to give, let's say, Route 53 access for everyone. I want to give what permissions, Nana? Route 53 to everyone. So do I need to go to Anudeep and give Route 53 and Soumya Route 53, Krishna Route 53, Kiran Route 53, Siva Route 53? So should I go individually? Should I give the permissions Route 53 or can I create a group? Create a group. So what do we do here? I create a group. And what is that group called? IAM group. So I create a group instead of giving individual permissions. Instead of giving individual permissions, what I can do, I create a group and by creating group, what kind of permissions I need to give to the group? Route 53. Here, what kind of permission I need to give? Route 53. Let's say, for example, I create a group called DevOps group, for example. So for DevOps group, what kind of permissions I have given? Route 53. And what I do is I'll add all these users to this group. See, I have added all these users to the group. And group has what permissions? Route 53 permissions. So once I have added all these IAM users to this group, and all the IAM users will get what permissions? What permissions? Route 53 permissions. So everyone, so group level permissions will be inherited to the IAM users. So if you want to give similar permissions for many people, it is better to create a group and give the permissions to the group level and add all the users to the group. So is that easy? Or let's say you are all here, 60 people are there, right? So should I go individually and give the permissions? No. Instead of that, can I create a group called, let's say, 6 p.m. group and then add all you users to the 6 p.m. group and give the permissions to the group level? If I give permissions to the group level, whoever are added into the group, everyone will receive the group level permission. Okay, now their individual permissions will be lost. Now Anudeep is there. Anudeep has what permissions by default? EC2. So I have added Anudeep to which group? DevOps group. Now he has what permissions? EC2 plus Route 53. So that meaning, his individual permissions will be lost? No. The individual permissions will not be lost. So group level permissions will be additionally inherited to the users. You understood, Nana? Group, simple, group. Okay. So can we say group meaning collection of IAM users? Simple. Let's start with that. So IAM group meaning here collection of IAM users. Okay, so Chitty, I created a group called DevOps group. Is it possible to create group under group? Not possible. Is it possible to create group under group? Not possible. You create groups, DevOps group, admin group, support group like this. Is it possible to create DevOps under that you create another subgroups? There is no option called here subgroups. You create a groups. So nested groups are possible? No. So nested groups under groups, everything is same, right? So nested groups or group under group is possible to create? No. So group under group is not possible. It's not possible. Meaning nested groups are not possible. Okay. Question for you. Is it possible to attach multiple policies to a single IAM user? Yes. One user can have multiple permissions, policies? Yes. And group, here group has what permissions? Route 53 permissions. Can I add beanstalk to the group level also? Yes. So group also can have multiple policies. IAM users can also have multiple policies. And now question here is, how many policies you can have per user? Maximum 10. How many? Maximum 10. How many policies you can attach to one IAM user? 10. And for group also, 10 policies you can attach. How many policies maximum you can attach to the IAM user and group? 10. If you want to go for more, go for creating multiple groups. DevOps 1, DevOps 2, DevOps 3, like this, you can create multiple groups. Okay. So it is possible to attach multiple policies to the IAM user and IAM groups also. Maximum. How many, Nana? Maximum 10. So for Soumya, I have given S3 permissions. Can I remove the permissions anytime? Yes. I can add the permissions anytime. I can remove the permissions anytime. It's up to me. Okay. So you can add or attach, all right, or add and remove or detach policies to the IAM users and groups anytime. That is maximum, Divyanshu. So just imagine you have one user. If you keep on adding multiple policies to a single IAM user, is it difficult to manage? It is definitely difficult to manage. For that, we have a topic today coming in Divyanshu that will get resolved, but just wait for some time. We'll talk on that topic. Okay, so if you attach any IAM user to a group, their individual permissions will be lost? Answer is no. So let's write that. So if you attach any IAM user to the IAM group, IAM user individual policies remains same and the new policies will be inherited to the IAM user. Yes, Yatin. but we see that in the lab. For group, when you create a group, for group, can we attach policies? For group, can we attach policies? Yes. Remember, what is this mean, sir? Which one? Cheban. Okay. So, okay. Last point he's asking, Cheban, or those who do not understood. The last point that what I wrote here is, if you attach any IAM user to the group, their individual permissions will be lost? No, it will remain same, no? So let's say Anudeep has EC2. I have added Anudeep to DevOps group. So his individual permissions will be lost. EC2 will be lost. No, it remains same, no? Additionally, group level policies will be inherited to the IAM user. That is what the last point is. Okay, so can you create or assign keys to the group? What do you think? Can you create or assign keys to the group? Answer is obviously no. Keys can be shared. One keys can be used by multiple users. No, right? Simply keys cannot be. For IAM groups, you can attach only policy. That's all. For IAM groups, you attach the only policy or IAM users. That's all. Group meaning group level policy and IAM users. That's it. Is it possible to create users or sorry, is it possible to create keys or assign keys to the group? Definitely no. So you cannot assign or create keys to the groups. Okay. Because keys are only for IAM users and not for IAM groups. Another question for you. One IAM user can be attached to multiple groups? Obviously, yes, no. So we have here Anudeep, right? So Anudeep is in which group now? DevOps group. Can we add Anudeep also to another group? Yes, I can, right? Another group permissions will be inherited to the Anudeep again. So, an IAM user can be attached to multiple IAM groups at the same time. Yes, Sharat. So here, IAM groups are used to assign policies to the bunch of IAM users at the same time. So simply, if someone asks you in interview or in certification, what is a IAM group? Simply you can call it's a collection of IAM users. Or in other words, IAM groups are used to assign policies to bunch of IAM users at the same time. Correct, no? Okay. So another certification question. Let's say, for example, I created a new IAM user called Devanand. I created a new IAM user. By default, that new IAM user has any permissions? I created a new user. Does it has by default any permissions? Definitely no. If required, we need to give the permissions. But by default, AWS will give some permissions to the IAM user. No. How does the AWS know what kind of permissions that we should know, that we should have to that user? Correct, right? So for that reason, whenever you create a new IAM user, by default, do you have any permissions attached? No. So here. So when you create a brand new IAM user, here, a brand new IAM user will not have any permissions or policies attached by default. See, guys, for just an IAM group, we got so many points. So in general, if someone teach you what is IAM group, they will just simply collection of IAM users is called a group. That's it. That's it. One single line. But did we learn many things here? All permutations and combinations of IAM group. Yeah. Nana, can I create multiple groups also? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Can I create a group called admin group? Yes, I can create admin group. And for admin group, I can have, who is that? Maunish and Azhar. Okay. So can I have these two people attached to the admin group? Yes, I can. I can create multiple groups like this, and I can attach multiple users like this also. Okay. Is it clear till here, everyone? Slowly, right? So all in all, group meaning, IAM group meaning it's a collection of IAM user. And for IAM group, what can we attach to the IAM group? Only policies. Is it possible to create any keys or assign keys to the group? Definitely no. So for groups, what we can do? We can assign the policy and we can attach the IAM users. That's it. Okay. Now, till now, we are talking about policies, permissions, and all. Let's talk about that policies. What are those policies? What are those permissions? Generally, what is a policy? Generally, you have policy, no? Policy. Rules. Correct, no? So, let's say, for example, Naresh IT has a policy that you should come exactly at 6 o'clock. That's a policy, for example. So that's a policy. But policy contain what? A rule? No. The rule is to come exactly at 6 o'clock. That's a policy, right? So here also we call it as policy that contains permissions. Here rules we call it as permissions. What does the policies contains? Permissions. What does the policies contain, Nana? Permissions. So here generally policy meaning policy contains permissions. Policy meaning policy contain permissions. Okay. These permissions, these policies are written in very important certification question. Permissions or policies are written in JSON format. Which format, Nana? Everyone, louder. Which format? Pakka certification question. In IAM, if they ask any question in IAM, definitely ask this. The permissions, the policies are written in which format? JSON format. Okay. So now you're writing done. Okay. So Chiti, mainly there are two types of policies. How many types of policies are there? Two types. So Nana, number one is called managed policy. Which one? Managed policy. Second one, we call it as inline policy. What's that? What are the two types of policies? Managed policy, inline policy. One more time, managed policy, inline policy. So now let's talk about what is managed policy. Managed policy meaning those are created and managed by AWS. So there are by default so many policies are there, which is created by whom? AWS. It is created by AWS and managed by AWS only. That is called managed policy. That is called what? Managed policy. Here, let's say, for example, so what are the two types? One is called managed policy and another one is inline policy. Okay, see here. Managed policy meaning which is created and managed by whom, Nana? AWS. Created and managed by AWS. So can I say this is predefined policies? Yes, predefined policies. So predefined policies meaning here, Chiti, AWS will give you the policies like this. I told you by default, we have few policies which is created and managed by AWS, and the policies look like this. Let's say, for example, for Anudeep, what kind of policy that you have attached? EC2. That you are attaching EC2 policy, no, that is managed policy, which is already there. And you are just attaching that policy to the user like this. AWS is providing like EC2 full access or EC2 read-only access. Read access or read-only access. So AWS is giving you overall access, Nana. AWS is giving what? Overall access. That meaning AWS has predefined policies like EC2 full permissions. Otherwise, EC2 read permissions. S3 full permissions or read permissions. RDS full permissions, read permissions. Like this, they have predefined policies. Now, let's say, for example, I want Anudeep. What kind of permission he has now? EC2 permissions. So EC2 permission meaning full permissions are read-only permission. Let's say, for example, full permissions. If I given full permissions to Anudeep, he can do everything on EC2, no? But what I want is I want Anudeep to only stop EC2 instance, start EC2 instance. That's it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want him to do anything. I want to give only certain permission, certain only once few permissions only. Want to give full permissions? No, I don't want to give the permissions. I want to give minute permissions, only some limited permissions. If you want to give limited permissions, now you tell me, will AWS will give like this? How does AWS know what kind of permissions that we need? Correct? So if you want to create that kind of permissions or policies, who should create? We need to create. Yes or no? We need to create. And whatever the policies that we are creating, that meaning customer are creating, that is called inline policy. What is that called? Inline policy. So can I say inline policy meaning created and managed by? As meaning customer. As meaning customer. So remember, AWS is providing overall access, full access, read-only access. But if you need to have a granular level permissions that I want particular user to do only this, I don't want to give full, I don't want to give redo. I just want to give only stop and start like this. Let's say, for example, S3, what do we create in S3? In S3, what do we create? Buckets we create. So now I want Anudeep only to create bucket, but cannot delete the bucket. Does AWS will give this kind of permissions by default? No. So if you want like this customized permissions and policies, who should create? We should create. And those policies are called inline policies. Those policies are called inline policies. Okay. Nana, you understood? Huh? Inline policy meaning what? Created and managed by customer. Can we also call it as customized policy? Can you call it? Okay, customized policies. In another words, can we also call it as customer managed policy? Yes. Customer managed policy. And is this clear? There are two types of policies. What are those? Managed policy and inline policy. So the policy which is created and managed by AWS is called what policy? Managed policy. So the policy which is created and managed by customer is called inline policy. So managed policy meaning you will get overall permission like full access or read-only access. But if you need to have a granular or customized policy, then you need to create your own policy, and that policy is called inline policy. Samjhe? JJ. Okay. Now we have a question. Sir, you said policies are written in which format? JSON format. So you are selling JSON. So that means, do we need to learn separately JSON? I still remember in those olden days, meaning not too much old, okay? I'm not that too much old. So a few years back, many companies, what they did was they're separately hiring JSON guys. They were separately hiring JSON guys to write what? Policies. To write policies. So there were separate special interviews for only for JSON. But now when AWS got to know that it's a problem where many people doesn't know how to write JSON and all. So what AWS did was, AWS said that, hey Babu, you no need to hire separately JSON. You no need to write everything from scratch. AWS is giving you some tool. AWS is giving some tool. That tool is called Visual Editor. What is that? Here I'll write. Visual Editor or Policy Generator. Visual Editor or Policy Generator. So using this, JSON code generated automatically. So using this visual editor, using this visual editor, if you open visual editor, there will be some parameters. You want create bucket, check. Delete bucket, check. Read bucket, check. Whatever the things that you want, you just need to read and check. Check boxes are there. Check boxes. So you select the check boxes, whatever you need, and automatically a JSON code will be generated. Copy the JSON code and put it, create a policy. We will learn, we'll be doing all these things. Okay, so you understood here? Yes. Okay, now mainly here we have user-based permissions and here resource level permissions. User-based permissions meaning giving overall permissions like EC2 full access, S3 read access, like this. Resource level permission. Resource meaning what here? Everything is a resource, no, in AWS. Let's say you created an EC2 instance. EC2 instance is a resource. Load balancer is a resource. Bucket is a resource. RDS instance is everything, whatever you create in AWS is a resource. So resource level permissions. Let's say I don't want to give permissions for entire EC2. I want permissions only to give particular resource. That is called what? Resource level permissions. So nothing but, okay, so here can I say it is granular level permissions, granular level or deeper level permissions, and can I call it as customized permissions? You have one question, Nana, here. You tell me, in user-based permissions, what kind of policy that you get? Managed or inline? Excellent. In resource level permissions, what kind of policy that you get? Inline. You understand? Okay, Nana? Clear? Good. Okay, so let's say, Chiti, let's say you created an IAM user. What is IAM user that you have created? Let's say Anudeep. We have Anudeep, IAM user. So I want to give permissions to Anudeep. So I want to mention Anudeep in the JSON format, in JSON code. JSON code is nothing but the policy, no? The policies are written in which format? JSON format. So I have, let's say, 20 lines of JSON code is there. Inside that, somewhere I need to mention Anudeep. I need to mention Anudeep. I want to give permissions only to Anudeep. So how do I mention ANUDEP, Anudeep? If I write that JSON code will understand the name? No, right? JSON code will understand Riaz? JSON code will understand Soumya, Monish, like these people? No. I created an IAM user called Anudeep. I created an IAM user called Soumya and Krishna, Kiran, Siva and all. But how do I identify a resource? So basically, here in AWS, we have something called ARN. What is it, Nana? Amazon Resource Name. Say that. Amazon Resource Name. Very important certification question. So every resource has a ARN. Every resource will have a ARN like this. I'll show you in the lab. Every resource will have a ARN. If I want to identify any resource, if I want to use any resource in policy, Anudeep is there. If I need to write ANUDEP Anudeep? No. Anudeep we have a special ARN will be there. And ARN look like this. ARN : : and there will be some number here. Okay. which service is this IAM service? Colon like this, colon IAM user slash Anadeep. Okay. It looks like this. The ARN looks like this. Understood? So if I want to use the name called Anudeep in my code, do I need to just write Anudeep or do I need to mention Anudeep ARN? Anudeep ARN I need to mention. So like this, every group will have ARN, every user will have ARN, every load balancer will have ARN, every bucket will have ARN. For everything you have a ARN. What is the full form of ARN? Amazon resource. Now you clearly, confidently, you will say Amazon resource name. But in certification, they'll ask like this: Amazon resource name, Amazon resource number. 100% you will get confused and you will put wrong answer. Yes or no? Obviously, no. And now you can clearly, confidently you're saying, but in your exam, you started scratching your head. Are number name, number name, number name. Should I give you one small hint to remember that permanently in your lifetime? Huh? Okay. Just a common like joke kind of thing. Okay. So you are in a bus stop. You are in a bus stop. Already started laughing, smiling. You understood. Okay. So you saw a nice girl. Okay. You saw a nice girl. Now take it as complimentary. Okay. So you saw a nice girl. So you are there and you saw a nice girl there. So now, will you directly go and ask for number? What will you do? What will you get if you ask number? Chata, huh? Big, bada, slap, you will get it. Okay. So, and if you try a lot, you will get number, name. If you try a lot, if you put heads down and then legs up, and finally you will get some name. So she is ready to give the name. She is ready to give the number. No, number meaning slap. Name, okay. So ARN meaning Amazon resource. Number name. Number meaning remember that. Okay. So in exam also, Amazon resource, ammo, no number, slap. You put your hand on your cheek. No number. So it is Amazon resource name, not number. Because I was teaching many times, no? So when I was, our certification, every 3 years you need to write. Our certification is valid for how many years? 3 years. So not now, few years back when I start writing, I got this question. What is the full form of ARN? I saw answer A, Amazon resource number, Amazon resource name, Amazon Ramya's number. No. There is no Ramya, no, in our class. Okay. So for example, so you have this. So I said, Fatak, I went and put Amazon resource number. Then I got realized, it's not number, it is a name. Unnecessary 1 mark gone, no. So for that reason, you should never put the wrong answer. Number and name. Remember that. Okay. Solution architect. Sir, can IAM user access programmatically with IAM group permission as access key are not present in IAM? What that did? Sir, can IAM user access programmatically with IAM group permissions as access keys are not present in the group? Obviously, yes. That's what I clearly wrote this. Shiva Kumar. Do you see? Keys are only for IAM user, not for the groups. So every individual IAM user will have their own keys. Okay. There is okay. So you are a fancy guy on definitions. Understand the logic. ARN meaning definition meaning okay, to identify a AWS resource to put in IAM policy. Okay. I invented this definition now. There is no definition on it. Okay, what is ARN? Amazon resource name to identify your AWS resource to put in IAM policy. Simple. Now, is this clear till here, everyone? You didn't understand. ఇంత ప్యాక్ చేసిన తర్వాత కూడా ఓకే ఐ didn't understand that. Do IAM user keys also own IAM group permissions? That's what, no. That's what we are talking about. You need to concentrate, Shiva. See here. Shiva is asking, so, sir, IAM users. Here we have IAM users. Do IAM user key also own IAM group permissions? Yes. See here. Anudip is there. We'll take Anudip. You will become celebrity now. Huh? So here Anudip is there. So Anudip has two types of access. What are those? There are two ways to access AWS. Every user have two ways to access AWS. One is console access. Another one is programmatic access. So console access, programmatic access is for every IAM user. No, every IAM user will have console access or programmatic access. Now, yesterday I told programmatic access and console access will have the same permission or different permission. Same, no? Okay, now Anudeep has what kind of permission now? Policy EC2 and Route 53. When he log into the console, he has what kind of permissions? EC2 and Route 53. When he programmatically using what kind of permission he has? EC2 and Route 53. Yes or no? Why he has Route 53? Because this guy is added to the DevOps. From DevOps has Route 53 and he got Route 53 here inherited because I have added Anudeep to DevOps group. Understood? So the question he has is, sir, I have Anudeep is added to the DevOps group, no? So how come for programmatic access also, what kind of permission he has? What kind of permission he has? His individual permissions plus group level permissions. Okay, Shiva? Good. Is this clear till here, everyone? CC, please. Thank you. Nana, now let's talk about a very important, deadly topic. There is a question from Yasin again. How many policies we can provide to IAM group? What is your answer? Okay, na? Yasin bhai, it's 10. Okay. So I want everyone, online people, sit properly, close your doors, and then take off your phones, keep aside, and then sit properly, huh? I know what kind of positions you guys are watching, huh? Laying down on the stomach, putting hands under there. Huh? Okay, so come on. So get up, sit properly, and let's talk about very important topic, which is IAM roles. What is that? IAM roles. Nana, I want you to concentrate. After completing entire role concept, don't ask me what is role. So I am just informing you well before only. Please concentrate. It's easy only. If you concentrate, it is easy. Okay. Okay. So I'll take a real-time scenario for this and explain. See. So let's have one EC2 instance. What is this, Nana? EC2 instance. EC2 instance. And I'm taking Linux EC2 instance. Which one? A very important thing. So if you are using Windows EC2 instance, you log into the EC2 instance. Like you're logging, how you're logging to the laptop? You have Windows operating system now. Similarly, when you log into EC2 Windows machine, you will get a Windows that desktop you will get. And if you want to access AWS services, how do you access? You open the browser and go to AWS console. Yes or no? Everyone. In Windows, if you want to access AWS services, you open the browser and you go to the AWS console. But here, what type of operating system is this? I took a Linux or Linux, whichever. Okay, Linux. I took it as Linux. Linux is a CLI based, no? Command line based, no? Everything is a blackboard, right? Linux is a blackboard. So you need to write the commands. And from the Linux, as you don't have the browser, how do you access AWS services? Question, no? Question, right? Good question, right? So from Windows, if it is Windows, I open the browser and you go to the AWS console. But on the Linux, as we don't have browser, how do you access AWS services? So through everyone is answering here programmatic, correct? Because Linux is the CLI only. Through CLI only we need to access it. Good. But you need to install one software in Linux. What you need to install? A software you need to install. And that software here is, we call it as, AWS is providing something called AWS CLI. Which CLI, Nana? AWS CLI. So AWS CLI is a small software or package that you need to install on your AWS Linux machine. Once you install AWS CLI on your Linux machine, through commands, you can access AWS. Because it's Linux, no? Linux meaning through CLI only, no? Now you install AWS CLI, and how do you authenticate? Using what? Excellent. Using what? Keys. Using what, Nana? Keys. Very good. Using keys. So now I'm repeating. So what type of operating system EC2 instance is this? Linux. So in Linux, if I want to access AWS services, what is the software that you need to install? AWS CLI. Okay, now I install AWS CLI. Now I want to access AWS services. Tell me one service that you want to access. EC2. Already we took EC2 instance. Tell me one more. S3? Okay, I'll take S3. So from this EC2 instance, from this EC2 instance, I want to access S3. From this EC2 instance, I want to access S3. Okay, na? I want to access S3. How do you access S3? Through CLI only, no? We already installed AWS CLI. Yes, AWS CLI is nothing but it looks like this here. If you go to the command prompt, my command prompt is also CLI. So here, if I put, I've already installed that software. If you put AWS -- version, do you see this? What is installed, Nana, here? AWS CLI. Which version? 2 version. So version 2 is installed. See, AWS, because this is my CLI only, no? In Windows also I have CLI. Similarly, in Linux also, we need to install that AWS CLI. Once you install AWS CLI, your AWS commands will work. If there is no software installed, will the commands will work? No. So once you install AWS CLI, here AWS commands will work. Which commands? AWS commands will work. So now from here, I want to access S3. So I'll tell you separately in some class how to write the commands. See, through CLI also I'll teach. Okay. So for example, here AWS S3 make bucket. If I blah blah blah, I want to write a command here. Nana, I just installed AWS CLI. How do I authenticate? Using what? Keys. Using what? Keys. So what I need to do here is AWS configure. There is a command. So it is asking what? It is asking for access key. So, and then it is asking for what? Secret key. Similarly on Linux also it will ask similarly like this only. Right? Once you configure all these things, don't worry about the rest of the things. Okay. Once you configure all these things, now I can write the AWS command because I already authenticated with the keys. No? Did we learn? So programmatically, how do you authenticate? Using keys. Is it clear till here? Okay, I'm repeating here. So now we have the Linux EC2 instance. I want to access which service? S3 service from the Linux machine. So what I need to install first? AWS CLI. Once I have installed, and if I want to authenticate, what I need to configure here? Keys. What I need to configure? Keys. Now, question for you here is, once I configure the keys on the Linux EC2 instance, the keys are stored locally into the Linux EC2 instance. The keys are stored locally in that Linux EC2. If someone, your friend or your colleague, whoever it is, co-worker, he logged in, he can easily see your keys. Is that good? Key should be with you only. Is it good to store the keys in our Linux machines? So, okay. So it is not recommended to put the keys here. If you put, someone will hack. If you don't put, you cannot access AWS services. You understand the problem. First, you need to understand the question, then we'll go for the solution. Okay. So the question here is, If you configure the keys are stored locally on the EC2 instance, which is safe or not safe? Not safe. But if you don't configure the keys, will you access AWS services? No. So what will we do in this situation is the question. So for that, before that, in order to log into the EC2 instance, what are generally, in order to log into any server, what are the things that we need? You want to log into the server. What do you need? First of all, you need to have instance IP address. You need to have instance. Username should be there. You have instance. Password will be there. Can you log into the EC2 instance with the IAM username and password? Huh? Can you log into this EC2 instance with your IAM username and password? I told you, IAM username and password is only to access AWS console. Can you log into the EC2 instance? EC2 instance will have a separate username and separate password that we learn. When time comes, we'll learn all those things. So I'm writing the problem here. So here, first of all, IAM user is used to access AWS console, not servers or EC2 instance. Agree? Okay. Now I'll write the problem here. See, if you don't configure the keys, okay, on Linux EC2 instance, you cannot access AWS services. Agree? Yes or no? That is the problem. And another problem here is, if you configure the keys on EC2 instance, keys are stored locally on the EC2 instance, which is not safe because might be hacked. Is it clear? Everyone, Chiti, see here. Is it clear? The problem is clear now. Okay. So the problem here is, if you don't configure, you cannot access AWS service. If you configure, it's not safe. It will be hacked. So in this situation, who will help you is here, IAM role will help. Who will help? IAM role. IAM role meaning, I'll create an IAM role called Anudeep role, for example. You give any name. You give any name. So now see here, guys. See, this is important. This is important. You can write later. See here. This is important. So I create an Anudeep role. While you're creating a role, you need to give permissions, no? Remember, when you're creating a role, policy should be attached to the role. When you're creating a role, what do you need to attach? Policy to the role. So here, what kind of policy, what kind of permissions that you need, what kind of services that you want to access from the EC2 instance? S3. So for role, what kind of permissions that I need to attach? S3 policy I need to attach. What policy? S3 policy. Now, what you need to do is, guys, see here, you need to attach this role to the EC2 instance. What you need to do? Attach the role to the EC2 instance. So you have EC2 instance, and from the backend, you are attaching the role to the EC2 instance. So the role here, I'll write attach role. Attach role. You're attaching the role to whom, Nana? EC2 instance. And role has what permissions? S3 permissions. Once you attach the IAM role to the EC2 instance, you no need to configure the keys anymore into the EC2 instance. And as the role is attached to the EC2 instance, role has what permissions? S3 permissions. So from this EC2 instance, without the keys, you can access S3. You can access S3. So roles meaning temporary access without credentials. Do we have any credentials now in EC2 instance? No. I didn't configure any keys, but still I'm able to access S3. I didn't authenticated anything from CLI, but still I want to access, still I'm able to access S3. Why? Because of role. So you create a role and attach to the EC2 instance. And what kind of services that you want to access from the EC2 instance, that kind of policies you attach to the role. Make sense? Everyone understood, right? See here, I'm telling you again. See, you answer me now. So this is a Linux EC2 instance. Everyone, you need to answer me now. This is a Linux EC2 instance. From this Linux EC2 instance, if you want to access AWS services, what you need to install? AWS CLI you need to install. So AWS CLI you have installed. Now you need to authenticate, no? So if you want to authenticate, what you need to configure? Keys you need to configure. If you configure the keys are stored locally into the EC2 instance. Is it safe or not safe? Not safe. So that meaning you don't want to configure the keys. If you don't configure the keys, will you be able to access S3? No. Why you are accessing? So this is your requirement that you want to access S3. You don't configure the keys, but you still want to access S3. This is the problem. So for this, what is the solution? IAM roles is the solution. You create a role, Nana. You create a role. And then what kind of policy that you attach to the role? What kind of services that you want to access from the EC2 instance? That policy you attach it here. And this role you attach to the EC2 instance. Once you attach the role to the EC2 instance and what kind of permissions that you have here, you can access those services here. Can I attach, can I have Route 53 also from here? Yes. Now from the EC2 instance, what kind of permissions that I have? S3 and Route 53. Do I need to configure the keys now? No. So if someone asks you what is a role, now I'll write it here. See, role meaning temporary access without credentials. There is a question. Is it, okay, see here. There is a question. Is it inline policy or managed policy that you want to attach to the role? Up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. If you want to give full permissions, go with managed. If you don't want to give the full permissions and you want to you only customize permissions, then go for inline. So is it clear, Nana? Role? If you use the roles, we no need to configure the keys on the machine, on the EC2 instance. There is someone is asking, how about security, sir? Can we open this EC2 instance to everyone? No, right? We will secure it, no? And should we give the username and password to everyone? No. So this is, and our entire infrastructure will be within the VPC, remember? So by crossing the VPC, is it possible someone to go inside the VPC? No. So we will be learning all the security stuff and all. But now let's go with this. So why we are saying temporary here? So temporary here meaning, can I go and now I have attached the role to whom? EC2 instance. No. Can I detach the role? If I detach the role, people can have access from the EC2 instance now? No. Anytime you can go and attach, anytime you can go and detach. If you attach it and leave it for 1 year, no problem. Then don't consider that as temporary. Right? I'm just saying temporary access without credentials. If at all you want, temporarily you attach the role and then remove it whenever you want. That is why. So when I say permanent, then I should not say detach. Detach meaning that how come it will be permanent? So I would say roles can be attached to the EC2 instance. You cannot detach, then it is permanent. So now I can attach also, I can detach also. That's why we call it as temporary. That is the logic of role, Dhanushree. So based on permissions that you have attached to the role, those permissions are available from the EC2 instance. Okay. Correct, Shiva. That is correct. Now, I'm giving one more example. Okay. See here. Okay. So I'm giving one more example. Listen this. This is the EC2 instance. Okay. This is the EC2 instance. And in the EC2 instance, assume that I have put some application. In EC2 instance, I have one application. Now tell me, application sometimes need to access AWS services, no? Application need to access, let's say for example, application need to access S3. Application need to access what? S3. Now tell me, your application is developed in which language? It can be in Java, it can be in Python, etc. Right? Now you have application developed and your application want to access S3 now. Now tell me, if someone want to access AWS services, will you create IAM user for application? Will you create IAM user for application? No. What you need to create in this case? You didn't understand the question. See the diagram. I have EC2 instance. I have application inside it. And application want to access S3 services. By default, application have access to S3? No, because it should authenticate. No, it should authenticate meaning in application meaning what you need to configure. First, you need to configure keys. No, but is it recommend to configure the keys in your application? Because keys will be saved in your application, anyone can see. But still, you don't want to configure the keys in the application. But application want to still access S3. What you need to do here? Create what? A role. You create a role, and role you need to give what permissions? S3 permissions. And attached to whom? EC2. So this one we also call it as assume roles. Assume roles. Understood? So, all right. Some AWS services will need to perform actions on your behalf. That is the role. Okay. One EC2 instance can have how many roles attached? Only one. That is policies. So, right. So one EC2 instance can have how many roles attached? Only one. And one role can be attached to multiple EC2 instances? Yes. One EC2 instance can have, okay, now see here, I have a chair. In this chair is attached to whom? Me. That means I am EC2 instance. One EC2 instance is attached, one role is attached to only one EC2 instance. Now I got up and I left over, right? So now this role can be attached to any EC2 instance? Multiple EC2 instances? Yes. No issues. That's what I'm saying. So one EC2 instance, one EC2 instance can have only one role attached at the same time. One role can be attached to multiple EC2 instances at the same time. Chitty, is this clear till here, everyone? Roles is clear, right? See, if you concentrate, it will be easy. If you don't concentrate, roles meaning you will get fainted, right? So yeah. Okay, is it CC till here, everyone? And the next topic we have, and please keep this in mind. There are few topics which are very advanced topics. Which one, Nana? Advanced topics. Advanced topics. So should we leave the advanced topics? No. So, and that too, there are few services which are not free. You need to use, you need to have something there. So those kind of services and features we learn, but is it possible to do? No. So those are also not required, but still I'm just giving as an extra. I like to give extras. All right, sir, you're doing extras. Yes. So I'm giving extras. So that is one of the extra topic here is this topic. Which topic? That I'm going to talk. And this topic here, we call it as identity provider or federation. What is this called? Identity provider or federation or identity center. Anything you can call. There is one question. One role can have multiple permissions? What is your answer? One role can have multiple permissions. Answer is yes. Anudeep has S3 and Route 53. So multiple permissions you can have. Okay. Can you read that, Nana? What is this? Identity provider, federation, or identity center. In AWS, we call it as identity center. What is that called? Identity center. Okay, so whenever anyone talk about identity provider or identity center or federation, the first thing that you should get in your mind is SSO. What is that? What is the full form of SSO? Not so. No, it's not a service. Single sign-on. What is that? Single sign-on. Single sign-on. Say that. What is SSO? Single sign-on. Single sign-on. As the name clearly says, how many times you are signing in? Single. Single sign-on. Okay. I'm telling you this without knowingly also you might have used this already. I'll tell you where. When you're using it in internet, and if you want to, if you go some websites, if you go some websites, in that websites, they'll ask, Babu, will you sign up? Will you create your account? Or will you log in with Gmail account? Log in with Gmail, log in with Facebook, log in with LinkedIn, log in with this. You saw some things, right? In websites, you have this, right? Instead of you go and create user, instead of you go and creating the account in that new website, can you log in with Gmail? So once you click on login with Gmail, using your Gmail credentials, you're logging into the new website. Do you create a new user in the new website? No. Are you creating a new account in a new website? No. With your old credentials itself, you're logging into the multiple website. Once you single sign on Gmail, with that single sign on, can you log into multiple services or multiple websites? Yes. That is called single sign on. With one single credentials, you can sign on to multiple websites. I'll relate this to your real time. Okay, in real time, let's say you are working, you joined a new company. You joined a company. So when you join the company, what they'll give you first? Thank God. Some people say tag, not tag. What they'll give? They'll give email ID, no? Email ID and password they'll give, right? Yes, so they'll give the email ID, password, company email ID. Bag. Okay, so company email ID and password. So company email ID and then password. So company email ID and password is there. ఒక ఎల్లు నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది టుమారో ఎల్లు నుంచి డే ఆఫ్టర్ టుమారో షూర్ చెప్తా సో company email ID and then password is there. Okay, so now see here guys. So company email ID and password they have given. Now you joined that company. Listen this carefully. You joined the company. You have your email ID and password. And you want to, your company is using AWS project. You are into the AWS project now. AWS project meaning you need to have AWS IAM user and password. Now you tell me with company email and password, can you log into AWS account? No, right? No. In AWS account, you need to create a IAM user. Then only you can create, right? So in order to log in, so here you need to have AWS credentials. Yes or no? Then only you will log into AWS. Agree? Nana, agree? So company email ID is there, and then you will have AWS credentials, and then you log into the AWS. How many credentials you have now? 2. What are those? Company credentials and AWS credentials. And now you want to log into some other website and you have other credentials. How many credentials will you keep it? How many credentials will you remember? So here the question, here the solution here is, I don't want to create IAM user in the AWS account. With my company email ID and password, I want to log in directly to the AWS. Single sign-on. With my company email ID and password, I want to log into the AWS. Do we need to create IAM user now? No, right? No need to create IAM user. So if at all you want to have this kind of scenarios, then what is the concept that you need to use? Identity center or identity federation or identity provider. You understood why SSO is used? So with one single credentials, you need to log into multiple services. Let's say your company is using AWS also, your company is using Azure also, your company is using GCP also. So with your single company credentials, can you log into AWS? Can you same credentials, can you log into Azure? Same credentials, can you log into Gmail? That is nothing but SSO. That is SSO, single sign-on. Clear enough? Okay. So here, quickly, this is your company. Okay. This is your company. This is our company. What company name? Boom. Boom company. Okay. In our Boom company, we have so many desktops will be there, no? Yes or no? In our company, there might be so many desktops will be there to work. Listen this carefully. Okay, Nana. See, I have so many desktops. Okay, so now listen this carefully. Now you're all okay. We are all working in Boom company. We're all working in Boom company. Okay, let's say first for this guy. What is your name? Karthik. Karthik. Oh, Karthik. Huh? Okay. So Karthik came. Now tell me, Karthik came. Can Karthik can log into this desktop? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Karthik has the username and password. He can log into the desktop. And next, Swapnil. Swapnil is there. Swapnil also came and can he log into the same desktop? Yes. So do you think now this desktop has Swapnil ID and then Karthik ID and Anudeep ID or Soumya ID or Kritika ID or Yasin ID? So that meaning, do you think that one single desktop will have the local users? Okay. Assume that you have local users. Now, how many desktops are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now later, Karthik will come and he log into this desktop. Can he able to log in? Yes. That meaning admin need to create Karthik user inside the desktop. So now 100 people will be there. So 100 people will be there. Do I need to create 100 users in the single desktop? Do I need to create local users? No. Now I have 100 machines. How do I know who will come and who will log into which desktop? So do I need to run there to the desktop and create the user there inside the desktop? No. So local user concept is good or bad? Louder. Good or bad? Bad. So instead of this, or the company has this concept called, so this is called domain controller. What is that, Nana? Domain controller. This is also called it as Active Directory. Is also called as what? Active Directory. So Active Directory meaning, Nana, what I do is I create the users here centrally. User 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, where I create the users centrally here. And what I do is I'll join all these desktops to this directory. What I'll do, Nana? I'll join. What I do? I'll join. So now all you guys want to log in, right? All you guys want to log into all these desktops, correct? Let's say you guys want to log into all these desktops. Now I need to create local users or I need to create domain users. So what are these users called, Nana? Domain users. So I created domain users as I have joined all these desktops to this domain controller. Now user one came. Can user one came and log into the desktop? Yes. Because once the user one and log into the desktop, user one is created in domain. And this desktop is already added to the domain? Yes. So once now user one has logged into the desktop will say, oh, what is your name? User one. What is the password? You are giving the password. And this username and password will be taken to whom? To the domain controller. And it'll ask, hey, do we have user one and the password in the domain controller? Domain controller will check, yes, I have user one and password. It will check the username and password, and then it'll say that, yes, the username password matches, log into the desktop. If the password doesn't match, user password is incorrect. Do you get this kind of issues? Username password is incorrect because domain Active Directory is not allowing you to go inside the desktop because this desktop is under which control? Domain. That is called domain controller. Domain control. I can control all you people. Understood? So basically, and in AWS, we call it as directory services. What is it, Nana? Very important. Directory services. So if I ask you a question, what is the Active Directory concept in AWS? Directory services. What is the Active Directory concept in AWS? Directory services. You understand? Okay. Now, no. This Active Directory is using a protocol called LDAP. What's that? LDAP. Lightweight Active Directory protocol. You don't need to worry on it. But Active Directory is using what protocol? LDAP. Now, company has LDAP now. Company has LDAP. This is my company only, no? Boom company. Boom company boom.com is my company name. So Boom company will have Active Directory or not? Yes, Active Directory is working on which protocol? LDAP. So my company email ID password is working on which protocol? Right? LDAP. So now, using this LDAP, I will be logging into the AWS. With what, Nana? SSO. So your company network administrator, your company guy and you, with the combination of you and company, SSO should be created. Actually, I said this is an advanced topic. It is good to know the topic. Is it clear, Nana? Okay. So now, in real time, you can use LDAP, and in real time, you have OAuth, Okta. Experienced people. Have you heard about these things? Right? Your company will have this Okta, right? OAuth, LDAP, all these things. So using this, you will be logging to the AWS consoles. Okay. Yes. Is it clear? Okay. Any questions still here? Take the screenshots. Done. You're taking paint or mine? Okay. Second one. Okay. So if you want me to repeat this LDAP concept, tomorrow I'll also repeat. Don't worry, because I know the time is going up. So that's why tomorrow I'll repeat it again. Okay. Can you give the final CC for today, please, online? So great. So that is all, guys, for today. And I'll see you tomorrow with the next IAM topic. Until then, take care. Bye.